What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of F1 Fantasy Pole Position. It is Monday, April 7th. My name is Ewan. On today's episode, I'm going to get into my Bahrain Grand Prix team selection as we are in the second race of a triple header in F1 Fantasy. The Japanese Grand Prix was this past weekend. Little bit of a snooze fest. If you want to check out my review, what I thought about it, I do have an episode that came out yesterday, a live stream where I was answering questions and just in general chit-chatting about it. But today we'll be focused on the Bahrain Grand Prix team selection. However, if you're looking at the starting screen, you're like, it's a little different. Yeah, you are correct. I got Ayo Komatsu on my left here, and then, Toto Wolff on the right because you guys voted. And I said I'm kicking Andrea Stella out of my YouTube intro screen this week. Who do you guys want in there? And on Twitter, it was a dead tie, 39.8 to 39.8 between Wolff and James Vowles. However, on YouTube, you guys wanted the Wolff, so Toto Wolff came in to the intro screen. Maybe I'll try and do this every couple of weeks just to interact with you guys. Who do you think the top two constructors are? Where the vibes are at in F1 Fantasy? But hopefully your Japanese Grand Prix went okay. Mine went pretty well. 3 million budget gain, couple of points, not a lot of movement. A lot of teams had very similar weekends, mostly because there were no DNFs and there were barely any overtakes at all. But like I said, if you want to check that out, all my review or my race review stream was yesterday, so you can go check that out. I cut it down into like kind of a little bit of an episode, so hopefully you guys enjoy that. But yes, today, Bahrain Grand Prix, Bahrain International Circuit, usually the kickoff of the season, but now that has been moved back because of Ramadan, and then they had to play have the races on Saturday. So this year it will be on a Sunday, which will be nice. 15 corners, 57 laps, 3 DRS zones. Over the last 3 seasons, it's been 12th for overtakes, a little bit higher than Japan, and then 4 DNFs only, 1.3 average. In 2022, Verstappen and Perez for Red Bull both had like engine problems that they ended up retiring from the race, but it was actually after like the DNF cutoff, so those are not included in there, just so you know. And in 2024, it was Verstappen, Perez, Sainz on the podium, but yeah, looking forward to this. All 20 drivers have had preseason testing on this track, so we shouldn't have too much of a kind of like rookie learning curve and stuff like that. Also, F2 and F3 have come here in the past as well, so hopefully the rookies have had some running around the Bahrain International Circuit. Pirelli preview, nothing like super official yet, but this is what they're doing, C1, C2, C3, which, given that they used that for the Japanese Grand Prix and it turned into a one-stop, I'm kind of hoping that we get a little bit more strategy here. Like at this point in F1, like we should be going for softer compounds to get more tire strategies, because one-stop races with not a lot of overtaking is not exactly the product that F1 is probably hoping to put out on the track. So we'll see how it plays out around Bahrain, though. So yeah, C1, C2, C3 this weekend in Bahrain. And the Pirelli preview will probably be out like today on Monday. I'm recording this in the morning and it's going out in the evening. So maybe Pirelli will have tweeted out during the day. I will retweet it so everybody kind of gets the stats for that. But the weather, you're not going to believe this, guys. No rain in F1 Fantasy this week. 37 degrees on Friday, 34 degrees on Saturday, 35 degrees on Sunday. Happy days. We're going to get some nice long run data. Not a lot, if any, grass in Bahrain, so no grass is going to catch on fire like it was at Suzuka, barring any crashes or mishaps or glass shattering on the track like we had in preseason testing. We should get a boatload of data to break down our F1 fantasy teams and help us out with those deadline decisions. Like I said, deadline decisions, I will be there 1 hour before the deadline locks in our teams for the Bahrain Grand Prix with a deadline live stream like I have been for the first 3 races. So hopefully you guys can come join me there. But yes, it looks like we're going to get a fantastic sunny Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Bahrain. So pretty thankful for that because it's been a little sketchy the first 3 races of the season. Notable performances from 2024, Verstappen 45 points, Leclerc 22, Russell 20, Norris 16, Piastri 10. This race last season was before McLaren had brought their huge upgrade in Miami. So they were still kind of middle of the pack, maybe best of the rest style. But yeah, they surely turned it on, and they're looking very consistent right now. Despite kicking Andrea Stella out, I am wearing the Papaya shirt today, 2-3. Probably not what we wanted as Papaya fans, but it is what it is, I guess. I'm still not super confident in the kind of overall race strategy from that pit wall, but need to get it together because Max Verstappen is just gunning for wins. We can't be playing team politics, like let Oscar go for it. Okay, yeah. I went over that in the race review stream. I'm still kind of a little bit mad about it as well. But Leclerc loves this track. Had a pretty good race here in 2024. Won the whole thing in 2022, the first race of the new regulations. If you remember that cat and mouse chase between Leclerc and Verstappen, that was pretty exciting stuff in F1 in general. And it's gotten a little bit more pedestrian since then, but yeah, man, I remember that first race and it was like, ooh, these new regs are fantastic, but it is what it is. But yeah, Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Norris, Piastri have all had different levels of success at Bahrain, especially last year in 2024. Pricing algorithm, it was pretty much dead on for Japan. It was dead on. So race 1 points plus race 2 points plus race 3 points divided by 3 times the asset price equals your points per million value. And it all worked out here. So if you are an A tier asset, which is over 19 million at this point, it's somewhere between 18.4 and 19. I guess we're not entirely sure where it is. But right now, the nice round cutoff point is 19 million. If you get over 1.2 points per million over your 3 race rolling average, you'll go up 0.3, 0.9 points per million to 1.2, you'll go up 0.1, and then the reverse symmetrical, you'll go down 0.1, down 0.3, just depending on how bad it gets. And in the B tier, which is below 19 million at this point, great will get you a 0.6 price rise, good will get you a 0.2 price rise, and then, like I said, on the other side, asymmetrical pricing, negative 0.2, negative 0.6 for those. And it all worked out. And now that we are 3 races into the season, it's time to get some more budget building options in our F1 fantasy team. So it is out with the old. Thank you for your service, Alexander Albon, Lance Stroll, and Nico Hülkenberg. Yeah, as you can see here, these guys, it's going to be tough for them to go all the way up. So on the screen here, if you're listening on the audio side, I've got Alex Albon, Lance Stroll, and Nico Hülkenberg with their points per million, their points per race, their price rise, and the points needed for max price rise in Bahrain. So for Albon, he's had 12 points per race this season, 0.97 points per million. He's gone up 1 million. He didn't get to the 19 points that he needed in Japan to go up another 0.6, which we were anticipating because it was above his season average. And it just seemed like it was going to be a little bit out of reach for Alexander Albon there. And now he needs 28 points to go up another 0.6 million. As much as I love the guy, and I'm kind of apprehensive about his new kind of persona on the radio. Like, he's very shouty, but it's like demanding. And it's like he knows that he's got a good car and he's a good driver. So, like, I hope he tones it down a tiny bit, because I kind of missed like the old Alex a tiny bit. But if he has aspirations to kind of get back to the front of the pack, or if he believes that Williams can get to the front of the pack, then I don't mind him being that demanding. But yeah, 28 points in Bahrain to get a max price rise is just a little bit out of reach for him, especially when he's averaging 12 points per race. Same with Lance Stroll here. He got the job done in Japan, 2 points. He needed 1 point. He made us sweat for a little bit. I was worried that he was going to DNF there because he was so far back from the rest of the pack. But 11.7 points per race, 1.38 points per million. He's the second best asset on the grid for points per million. And the price rise has been 1.8. He's gone up 0.6 every week. But now he needs 17 points in Bahrain, and I just don't think he's going to get it done. He has had a couple of good races here in 2023. When Aston Martin kind of shot onto the scene, they had a pretty good first race in Bahrain. So maybe that's something that we can look at. But he's a pretty nice budget enabler for us to kind of go down and then raise some other assets. So Lance Stroll, I think you will be getting out of my lineup as well. And then Nico Hülkenberg down here, 7.7 million, 1.18 points per million. And he's gone up 1.4. Didn't get the whole 0.6 increase yesterday in Japan either, but 1.4 over the first 3 races of the season is perfectly fine. But yeah, 26 points needed for a max price rise in Bahrain, considering he's on 23 points for the entire season. I don't really see that happening. But let me know in the comments if you have any of these assets and if you're going to transfer them out ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix, because this is out with the old and now we are in with the new. Jack Doohan, Isaac Hadjar, Gabriel Bortoleto, come on down, because we're going to be very, very interested in y'all for the Bahrain Grand Prix and hopefully moving forward. And to talk about Hadjar and Bortoleto specifically here, they have fallen to the floor that we now know in F1 Fantasy, which is 4.5 million. So an asset cannot go lower than 4.5 million. So that means even if Hadjar and Bortoleto DNF this week, they can't go any lower. We can't lose budget with these assets anymore. And that is super important to know. So technically you can get 2 of your 5 driver slots for 9 million. That is such good enabling that they are high priority transfers for me. However, I have enough budget that I'll be looking at Jack Doohan here. So as you can see here on the screen again, I've got Doohan, Isaac Hadjar, and Gabriel Bortoleto. Points per race, points per million, price fall, and points needed for max price rise in Bahrain. So Doohan needs 3 points in Bahrain for max price rise. Hadjar needs -2 points. So that's just don't DNF, Isaac. And Bortoleto needs 12. So the 12 points for Bortoleto is probably the most concerning out of these 3 assets, because he's averaging -4.3 points per race so far this season, and he's gone down 1.5 million. Hadjar's gone down 1.7, and Doohan has gone down 1.8. I mean, technically, Hadjar and Bortoleto have also gone down 1.8, but they just can't go any lower than the 4.5 million floor that they are at right now. So I did a little bit of maths there to figure that out. But even Hadjar is 0.11 points per million, so he's actually the only positive points per million here, compared to Doohan at -0.04 and Bortoleto at -0.71. So Hadjar is the main priority. I think he's going to be the most popular man or driver in F1 Fantasy this weekend. I think he's at 52 or 53% in the F1 Fantasy Tools Patreon 500. And I would expect that to be 90% after this week, especially at 4.5 million. Like, even if he DNFs, you can just keep him in there. He's super rapid. He's scoring pretty good points except for Australia. So nothing wrong with Hadjar there. But yeah, Doohan, 3 points, and Bortoleto, 12 points as well. And yeah, those are probably going to be the 3 biggest risers in pick percentage this weekend in F1 Fantasy, especially in the Patreon 500 on f1fantasytools.com, which you can join if you use promo code UN50. You'll get 50% off your first month. So would highly suggest going there and signing up, especially we are in the second part of a triple header. If you wait until Friday, April 11th, you'll get the next 3 races within that month. So wouldn't mind that at all. But these are the 3 assets that I would have taken out. These are the 3 assets I would have taken in. But let's go check out the rest of the grid and where we need them to get to in Bahrain. All right, so here we are on the budget building tool for f1fantasytools.com. Like I said, fantastic website. You should definitely come hang out over here and in their Discord. Would highly suggest that. They've got all the required points that we need for the Bahrain Grand Prix over here. So as you can see, Piastri didn't get the max price rise in Japan, but now he only needs 15 points. So he's a high priority transfer for me. Antonelli 19 again, also an option. Russell 26. So we're getting closer to can we get there? As you can see, Verstappen, he won qualifying, he won the race, didn't get driver of the day or fastest lap, scored 36 points in Japan, needs 38. So starting to get a little bit more difficult. Norris here, that's difficult. Hamilton, Leclerc, still not really options here in the A-tier driver bracket. They will be probably starting in Saudi Arabia because their DNF or DSQs in China will drop off after that. But yeah, then we move down here. As you can see, Hadjar, -2, Doohan 3. Behrman and Ocon are still huge options for budget rising. I didn't include them in with the new because a lot of us already had Behrman and Ocon from the past couple of weeks of transfers in China and Japan. But yeah, Bortoleto at 12. That's where we're starting to get a little bit scary. Stroll, he's gone. Lawson's not going to get there. He could maybe avoid this if he has an okay weekend in Bahrain, but that guy's just getting jerked around so much that you got to feel for Liam Lawson a little bit. Hulkenberg, 26 points. That's not happening. Tsunoda, 27. We'll see. He's gone down again, so he's still 2.4 million away from that A-tier asset status. So if Tsunoda can start to turn it around, we could see him become a nice budget enabler as like a second kind of mid-price driver instead of us running 4 B-tier drivers. Like I'd almost class him as like an A/B-tier driver. So he could become an option soon if he keeps falling. Albon 28, Sainz 29, Alonso 38, Gasly 44. So Alonso's going to fall one more race. So as you can see, negative 16 in China, 4 points in Japan. Soon he will become an option in F1 Fantasy. So we will be looking at him for Saudi Arabia as well because he should be about 6.4 million. So you could be looking at like Jack Doohan will be 6 million if he gets 3 points in Bahrain. Doohan to Alonso would be a pretty nice transfer that you can just flip and then get on Alonso for when he gains in price there. Gasly at 44, also not an option. Going on to the constructors here, McLaren, Mercedes, Red Bull, all pretty much locked into 0.3 price rises, barring some massive DNFs. I mean, McLaren needs a double DSQ to get not the max price rise. So McLaren and Mercedes will be very popular for teams right here. I'll get into that in my team selection real quick. And then Haas and VCarb are also down here. Williams here as well. They only need 6 points for another 0.6 increase. As you can see, 26 points in China, 19 points in Japan. So things are looking really up for the Grove team here. Kick at 10, Aston at 13, Alpine at 25. Not really options. But yeah, if you have Haas, Racing Bulls, or Williams, and you don't want to do like negative 10s to get in this template that I'm about to show you here in F1 Fantasy, don't really mind it at all. Haas, VCarb, all very nice options, and Williams are also a great option as well. But while we're over here, let's go over to some Bahrain team selection. So this is actually my T2 team here. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go to my T1 squad. Let me minimize that a tiny bit. There we go. So as you can see here, Piastri, Behrman, Stroll, Hulkenberg, Ocon with McLaren and Williams. I've got 2 free transfers. So I can't really do... I want to get to Mercedes, and the easiest way to do that is to take a negative 10. So it'll be Stroll out, Hulkenberg out, Williams out, bring in Mercedes, and then I scroll on down here, sort by value. I'll bring in Hadjar, and then I can bring in Doohan or Bortoleto, just depending on what looks okay. Like if Alpine looks not great, it'll be tough to kind of, like Doohan has, what are we looking at here? Negative 3 points in the season, negative 20, 11 in China, 6 in Japan. So it wasn't all bad for Doohan. He did move up for the back of the pack there. So that's pretty easy there. That's a negative 10. This is going to be the template in F1 Fantasy. There's going to be people that I have 104.4 million in budget, as you can see above my head there. And people can, I think I've seen some people with like 106.9. So there'll be other teams that can maybe get up. Maybe they don't have to run. I'm trying to think where they would even go with that extra money. You could maybe go Mercedes up to Red Bull if you have 2.1 million more than my 104.4. So anything above 106.5, you'll be able to fit in Red Bull over Mercedes. But I'm not entirely sure that we will, because 192 points in the season, 67, 69, 56. Red Bull Racing 19, 67, 46. So Mercedes is outscoring Red Bull. These two are pretty much locked in for a price rise. And then this template allows you to do a lot of things, because if you don't like Jack Doohan, say you get the 3 points from him and then you want to get out of the Jack Doohan business or that kind of thing, or Ocon is starting to maybe be a little too expensive, like that China, 24 points in China, that's going to fall off soon, and he won't be able to keep rising at 0.6. The next move for Saudi Arabia would be to get off of a Behrman, a Doohan, an Ocon, and bring in like a Fernando Alonso, who, like I said, he's going to be all the way down here at like 6.4 million. And it's definitely not a good season for the Spanish driver, the two-time world champion. But if he gets down to 6.4 million, he's going to be a fantastic option at F1 Fantasy because he has the capabilities. Like if you see here, Lance Stroll, he can score 16 points in Australia, 17 points in China. Like Fernando Alonso is far capable of getting there. So for that T1 squad, I will probably be taking a -10 and end up with this. It is Monday, April 7th. It is 7:30 in the morning, and I would highly expect that on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. my time in Germany, this will be my squad. But there are other options to consider. So that was my T1 squad. T2 squad here is, I went a little bit different here with like a Lando build. Let me just zoom that in and out a little bit. Let me check. Sure. Yeah, it looks okay. So I knew going into this, I used my wildcard to get into this build, and I kind of knew I was going to have to take a bigger hit to get out of it because I'm not going to have enough money to do what I want with the Racing Bulls Mercedes kind of lineup. So I can't, like, if I do this, then I can get to that same template, but it's going to be a -20, which is not ideal. So if we do this again, if we go Lando, and then I had Racing Bulls with, it was Nico, and where'd you go, Lance? There you go. So this is where I started at. If I don't want to be taking a -20, maybe build towards the template a little bit more, there are options where I can go like Lando to George. I could take a -10 here, bring in Hadjar, wherever you are. I kind of wish they would just sort it by price because season points doesn't really do a lot for me. And then I could also bring in Antonelli, which in theory covers off Mercedes kind of well. You bring in both Mercedes drivers. You've got McLaren. You've got budget builder. You get 4 budget building options at 0.6. And then you've got these 3 pretty much locked in to a price rise as well. So this would be a -10, which is not bad. I'm just not sure if I'm going -10 there, but the -20 would get me to the template lineup. It's probably going to be worth the extra 10 points to just get to the template. However, if you are kind of thinking about doing something different, this is a little bit of a spicy alternative here. Double Mercedes drivers, Hadjar, Ocon, Behrman with McLaren and Racing Bulls as well. And I said this on X, where you can follow me right above my head at F1 Fantasy Ewan. With my 3 teams, I pretty much covered off the entire template in F1 Fantasy. So this team here, I put in Sonoda because I had a little bit of more room here, and I put Haas in as well. So I've got 2 free transfers here. Sonoda is a problem, but Sonoda, Hulkenberg, and Haas out should give me enough money to get to that template there of Mercedes with Doohan and Hadjar. Where'd you go, Hadjar? Like I said, this should just be sorted by value. That would be great. So that's a -10 as well. So, I mean, in theory, I can get all 3 teams to the template. T1 with a -10, T2 with a -20, and T3 with a -10 as well. But there are some alternatives here. Let's just refresh this page here. So this is Piastri, Sonoda, Ocon. So like Hulkenberg all the way down to Hadjar here gives me 4.2 million. Unfortunately, that's just slightly, that kind of puts me in the realm of I could do something different here and bring in Mr. Kimi Antonelli and still try to build budget, but 0.3, 0.3. So same kind of deal here, but this is not a hit. So bringing in Antonelli for Sonoda and then going from Hulkenberg down to Hadjar is an option that I will probably consider with the T3 team just to kind of be a little bit different in F1 Fantasy. But Yeah, overall, I do think it's going to be a very strong week for the template. So if you can't get to the template, let me know in the comments below. We will talk it out. I will be here on Wednesday for a live stream, Q&A live stream. We did one of those last week. I think it went pretty well. I had a great time. I think the people that were in there also had a good time. But yeah, the team selection is going to be pretty different. But yeah, joining the streams this week is going to be super key. And yeah, but I think I will probably end up towards the template in F1 Fantasy. But like I said, we are in the second part of a triple header here. So we just had Japan, we've got Bahrain, we've got Saudi Arabia coming up next weekend. So don't get caught out by any of the weird deadlines. If you're in the States or the UK, we're kind of flipping over into some nighttime races here real quick. Not too shabby at all, though. We've got the time zones have been pretty nice. We had a couple of rough ones with Australia and China, but really just what a great part of the world to live in to watch F1. It's very handy for sure. But yeah, Bahrain is the second part of this triple header, and then Saudi Arabia next week. Like I mentioned, I've got a Q&A stream on Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. UK time, 2:30 p.m. US Eastern. We're going to talk about all the templates, all the variations, so get in there. I will see you there. And then deadline stream on Saturday. Pierre Gasly, not really in my thoughts, but I do like the Alpine. It just pops on the thumbnail because of the pink outfits. 7 p.m. local time, 4 p.m. UK, 11 a.m. US Eastern. Hopefully, I will see you there. But like I said, that'll do it. It was kind of a short and sweet team selection video this week. Maybe it wasn't. I don't even know. I just ramble on for fun here. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment below. We will get through it all together. But there's going to be multiple streams this week to get through all of our F1 fantasy lineups. Hopefully you guys are resting up because we're in the second part of a triple header here. Lots of F1 fantasy content coming out of the F1 Fantasy channel. But yeah, I will see you Wednesday. So once again, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.